Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. So good to be here with you on this Mindset and Motivation Monday. I had a topic that I was thinking about over the weekend that I couldn't wait to share with you. And it was basically when I was scrolling through Instagram. Sometimes on the weekends, you get just that scroll that just kind of keeps on going for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, maybe even more. And you start to see all of these inspirational people, what looks like living their absolute best life. And you're like, maybe I should do that. But it also got me to thinking that sometimes I'm not necessarily as inspired by the 20-year-old, 25-year-old, maybe even 30-year-old Instagram influencer as much as maybe I used to be. And here's why. I started thinking that I'm oftentimes a lot more inspired by the mom or the dad who has 2 or 3 or 4 plus kids. They're working, they're taking care of their family, they're participating in the community. They're also trying to look at their exercise routine, work on their health, work on helping an aging parent, maybe writing a book or trying to go back to school or get a certification. That to me is super inspiring. Now, I'm in a different spot in my life, so I totally understand it. But I started to think about that, and I really thought about, okay, well, what about me as a 20-year-old or 22-year-old? And I'll tell you, when I was in college, I didn't have a lot of time at all. Now, some people might, but I didn't at all. I was especially in undergrad, I was trying to double major. I had no extra time. After literally once school got out, I went to the gym with one of my buddies who was my workout buddy back then. And then we went to get dinner together, oftentimes with a bunch of other people. And then after that, I did some homework, did some reading, did whatever I needed to do, hung out with my roommates, and then went to bed and did it all over again, except for, essentially Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. And obviously I enjoyed my time in college. I didn't have a lot of time. But afterwards, when I'm thinking of my early 20s, I had more free time. Yes, I worked a good amount as well. There's no doubt about it, but it's a different level for me, at least, of stress. So I didn't have a high rent. I didn't have a fancy car. I didn't have anything fancy at all. Is that I worked, but I also commuted an hour and a half to work each way. I took the train, drove to the train, then I took the train. I could read on the train. Again, it wasn't like super stressful. I didn't need to make a ton of money, any one of those things. But what I'm trying to share with you is that everyone doesn't have the same exact 24 hours. Meaning that everyone says, well, we all have the same 24 hours. We really don't. We don't always have that. Now, there's nothing against the 22-year-old me, the 24-year-old me, or any of that. There's nothing against that. I mean, I very much enjoyed that time. Going out to dinner with my wife after work and just being able to chat, not really having any plans on the weekend or, even weeknights. Like we could just say, oh, you want to go out to dinner? Great. Like there wasn't as much to think about. We didn't have as many life-based commitments or stresses. So there is that part. So what I'm trying to say to you is that use the seasons and times of your life when you may not be as preoccupied or may not have as much to do. And also never compare yourself to someone that may not have as many of those commitments. Again, you don't need to have kids to have a ton of commitments and have a busy, stressful life. I just said, even during undergrad, I had not a lot of free time. I really didn't. Not at least Monday through Friday afternoon. After that, yes, plenty of free time on the weekend. There's no doubt about that. And then, of course, what else do you have? Well, you have lots of vacations. You've got Thanksgiving vacation. You've got like a month off for Christmas and New Year's, and then you have the whole summer off. So again, I totally get it. There's still a whole lot more free time than then. But what I want you to think about is that we also can't use these excuses though. Well, I don't have as much free time as maybe the 22-year-old me or 25-year-old me. And I get it. But that also, again, that excuse is going to hold you back from getting to live your best life. And that means understanding, well, first of all, what does that look like? And so what I would share with you is that we can't have any excuses. So we have to take that out of the equation. We either asked for many of the things in our life right now, or we didn't. Either way, it is our current life. So when I have 2 kids right now and making sure that they're in the best schools, they're getting the education that they need, both in and outside of the school, family-based commitments, all of the other things, work commitments, my own personal growth, all of these things. It has to be taken into consideration in one 24-hour time period. Now, some things we do daily, we're going to be talking about that in just a second. Some things we do weekly, and some maybe just once a month. What we need to focus on is what we do every single day. So here's what I want you to ask yourself. What have you wanted to do over this past year that you haven't been able to? Another way of asking is this: what would you regret not doing this upcoming year? Right? So I always try to break it down into deeper categories, but I want you to just answer that, whether you're driving the car, listening to this on a walk, wherever you may be. What did you want to accomplish this year that you didn't, regardless of your age, regardless of how many commitments you have? What did you want? First, one or two things that come to your mind. Now, if you can think of 5 or 6 or 7, great, write them all down, okay? What would you regret not doing this upcoming year? Any of them from this past year make it onto the what you would regret not doing this upcoming year? Write those down. And you might have new ones as well, because the new you, meaning we are new each and every, I would say, well, each and every day, of course, but each and every quarter we do develop. We kind of have more learnings, more understandings. We experiment with more things. We get to learn and we get to grow. So see if those lists overlap at all. I know they do for me. There's 3 or 4 things that I say, this is going to be the year. This is going to be the year, like I'm going to do it. I'm going to make it happen. And then not as much, I might dabble in it. But for me, that just goes to show the why isn't strong enough yet. And that's why I don't necessarily get down on myself, because just the why is not there to carry me through like it is for other things. But if you can't find yours yet, this is what I say. Break it down into those 5 categories. So over this past year, or in this coming year, what would you regret not doing for your health? Is there anything with your health that you need to improve? So when you run all of your big 5 labs from Equalife, or you run your blood work, and hopefully you do both, what is it? What do you need to improve with your health? Cholesterol, blood pressure, blood sugar. Those are 3 of the big ones, right? Like, do those need to improve? Autoimmune issues, etc. What about for the body? It's not just about weight gain, weight loss, 6-pack abs. It's not about that. Do you feel like you're losing cardiovascular conditioning? I did. In a big way, I made this past year about improving my cardiovascular condition. Bottom line was like, I need this heart for the rest of my life. And the heart is the number 1 cause of mortality. The arteries and the heart connected. I need to fix this. I really do. I need to reinvigorate myself and my cardiovascular system. Again, I felt no ill effects from it. I just want you to know that. But it was when I started to get back into it, I'm like, wow, have I lost a lot in terms of me being able to do cardio, meaning like for a sustained period of time. Okay, let's get serious about this. So it could be skin, it could be anything that you want to improve. All right. And again, there's nothing wrong with any of those. Like, there's no right answer. It's you. It's your life. You get to live it. Right? Relationships. Anything faltering that you'd like to improve. A great friend of mine, like one of my best friends, if not my best friend, reached back out and this is from high school. So but always been great friends. My high school friends are literally my best friends. They always have been. They're amazing people. Came to visit me all the time when I was in college. And they reached back out. And I was like, this is amazing. This is a great way to rekindle these relationships, even though I've moved away and it's been some time. We all have our kids and all those different types of things. You know what? This is important to me. And even though I have the least amount of time that I've ever had in my life, basically, I need to rekindle this. This is amazing. And same for parents, same for all those things. Do you want to deepen those? And you have to just think about that. Okay, well then how? We'll talk about that in a second. Then there's spirituality. I've done a lot for spirituality over the past few months. I really have. It's things that I don't necessarily talk about because spirituality to me is a very personal thing, meaning that it's not that I'm afraid to share it because I share everything, but everyone has their own way of experiencing that. And I'm not one that believes in judgment in any way, shape, or form. And however people experience the spirituality in the world around them, I think is amazing. And then career and finances. Like, have you reached your savings goals? Are you worried about retirement? Are you thinking about retirement? Are you thinking about switching careers? Does your career fulfill you? So all of these things are nice things to look at least gets the conversation started in your mind. One of my favorite places to start to think about these topics is simply on a walk. Just go for a walk, breathe in, breathe out, no end in sight. Just keep on walking. Walking for most people is something that's great to be able to do. And you can put away the music, put away the phone, and just walk and think and have a conversation with yourself. No judgment. Okay. But now we've thought through this process, right? So you thought through the process. What did you want to do over the past year that you didn't, or you want to do more of? And into next year, what would you regret not doing? Now you can say is how much of that am I actually doing right now? So you might say, well, for me, I was already exercising, but I wasn't doing as much sustained cardiovascular work. So I didn't need to necessarily add more time. I added 20 more minutes per workout. So it wasn't like a huge amount of time. But what I did was I shifted some of the weight training to cardiovascular training. I still get my 3 days a week of weight training, but I shifted now more to cardiovascular and I shortened the weight training a bit. So still the same volume. I'm still getting in my 5 to 6 exercises per workout and still doing my morning routine. But I made sure now that I'm getting 30 to 40 minutes of my cardio essentially 5 days a week. And when I look at that, it all makes sense. Again, this is for me. When you look at 150 minutes per week, which is what you're really supposed to get from moderate to a little bit more vigorous, not really vigorous, but moderate to more vigorous activity, that's 30 minutes, 5 days a week. And so although I love my weight training, I wouldn't say that it's very taxing. Like my heart rate's not cranking. I'm not sweating incredibly. I'm training, I'm strength training, which is what I enjoy doing. But that wasn't getting that aerobic, and clearly, because when I got back to running, it was much lower. And so, okay, let's focus on this. 30 minutes minimum, 5 days a week. We can do this. And so that's what I started to do. Some on the bike and some running, and it's been great. You can do, again, this is just what I'm doing for me. You have your own goals. But what I'm saying is I didn't need to add more time. I need to reallocate. Now, there are some things though, where you're going to have to carve out more time. So you have to look at your schedule. So for me, am I waking up as early as I already can be? The answer is yes, because I can't sacrifice sleep. Like my engine is going all day long and I love it. And I have lots of energy and I never want to change that. Okay. So from the moment I'm up to essentially, honestly, 30 minutes before bed, I've got great energy. I'm ready to go. And then I just turn it off. That 30 minutes before bed. Now, again, I'm not exercising before bed or anything like that, but I still have great energy. Like I'm still good. I don't want to sacrifice that in any way, shape, or form, especially as you get older. You need to make sure you're getting good quality sleep to recover and increasing exercise, right? I want to make sure I'm getting that. Okay. So now I can't wake up earlier, so I can't add minutes there because a lot of people can wake up 30 minutes earlier. Honestly, they really can. They can go to bed a little earlier, wake up 30 minutes earlier. I can't. There's no way I can really go to bed before 9:30, 10. Like that's... Sure, I could say, well, I'm going to go to bed at 8 o'clock. Okay, but then I have I cut into family time because I have to get ready for bed. And then I have no time to chat with my wife. And I'm in bed also before my spouse. And, they don't necessarily want to go to bed at 8 o'clock. So it's like, yeah, that's not something I'm willing to compromise on. Now, some people, maybe it is. That might be the right choice for you. That's why I'm saying my path isn't necessarily your path, right? So we need to look at that. But for me, sure, if I can go to bed around 9:30 and I can wake up around 5:30, 6, fantastic. I'm getting 8.5 hours of sleep, which is what I get. I'm getting my 90 minutes of deep. I'm getting my 2 hours of REM. And then it allows me to then go for the other 16 hours of the day. Fantastic. Okay. So now what I have to look at is something has to go in my schedule. If I'm going to add the 30 minutes, which I believe is the requirement each day to bring on a new goal, then something has to go in my schedule. So let me try to break this down a little bit as well. So I have a podcast and I want to link this up here today. So go to stephencabral.com/3223. It's called the missing 6 hours per day. Most people have a missing 6 hours per day. They really do. And what I want you to do, listen to that show, you'll find that besides your time to get ready, besides your, dinner, that type of thing, there's 6 hours in the day. So we just need to say, well, what are we filling those 6 hours for? If you think about it, I'm going to give it away, but you should listen to that whole show. 10 hours can be dedicated to your workday, commute and work, right? Now there's 6 more hours. There's 3 before and 3 after, or it's probably more like 2 hours before work and maybe 4 hours after work. So it's like, what are you doing with those hours? And can you carve out 30 minutes of that? So that's how I look at it. And right now, mine's booked solid. Those 6 hours are booked solid. Now, it's with everything that I want. It's got my morning routine in there, my helping my daughters get ready in the morning, all that. That's in there. Like it's all in there. My morning routine, and then after work, okay, that's my workout. That is my dinner time and homework, help with my daughters as needed. Then it's our family usually plays a game, something like that at night. And then it's time with my wife and my own wind down schedule. Okay, so Like, I don't want to change that. So now I need to look at that inside of my workday, 10 hours. Can I carve out 30 minutes for something new? And that's really what we need to look at. But most people, I think, will be able to find that 30 minutes per day. So what I say to you is, how many goals should you add? Well, I think you need one 30-minute time block per day, almost every day of the week, in order to really achieve a goal. Because one, your mind needs to be focused on it. And two, you need to take action, right? So mind focused every single day. I need to do this thing. And then 30 minutes in order to make that happen. Need to change your nutrition? 30 minutes meal prep. Need to improve your overall health? Okay, 30 minutes exercise. Need to study for certification, continue ed, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, 2.5, 3 hours a week, 30 minutes a day, right? Want to improve in any subject, learn more, anything in the world? 10 pages a day. That's one book a month. Well, okay, that's 30 minutes per day, right? So 30 minutes is really what I consider the entry. And that's my recommendation. So now you say, okay, well, I think I could carve out 30 minutes twice a day, AM and PM, or AM and at lunch, or 1 hour per day. All right. Well, now you might be able to take on 2 separate goals. But this is why I say very rarely can someone take on more than 1 to 2 goals. And the reason is not just hours per day, but you then need to focus the mind on multiple different areas. And when you can lock in your mind on achieving one major goal, you become very dangerous, and in a good way. Meaning that you are someone that not only sets goals, but goes after them and achieves them. And you then start to set up a streak of winning. When your mind knows that you are someone that sets and achieves goals, it wants more of that. Now, here's the great thing, and I've said this on the previous podcast, I believe a week or 2 ago. Once you achieve the first goal or set it as a standard in your schedule, you can then add the next one, even if the first isn't achieved. For example, let's say you're studying to become an integrative health practitioner, a certified health coach. You're 30 minutes a day, you're locked in. Great. That's your certification. You're going to pass level 1 in about 12 weeks, level 2 in about another 12 weeks. So that's just standard. You have that locked in. You're like, now, I've been reading all this, studying all this. I now want to add some exercise into my routine. I've never been an exerciser. Okay. So now you add in a 30-minute walk. Now that 30-minute walk after 6 weeks or 12 weeks becomes a 30-minute bike or jog, or a couple times a week a jog, couple times a week strength training. But that 30 minutes is just morphed. So what I'm saying is you can what we call habit stack or build onto an already great schedule. But it needs to go one rung at a time so that you don't get overwhelmed and distracted. So as we look to this past year of what we didn't accomplish, if it is 5, 6, or 7 things, that's okay. And also what we regret not going into next year, if it is 5, 6, 7 things, again, okay. Take the 1 or 2 that overlap. Do you have more than 30 minutes in your schedule that you can add in a new activity or tweak one? If the answer is no, you're going to choose one. You say, but I want to do all of them. I understand, and so do I. But when we want to choose all of them, we choose none because we get none done. So choose one for the first 12 weeks, then choose the next one for the next 12 weeks. But the first one doesn't stop. We just realize we have so much more potential, right? And then we start to add on the next one. Stay focused on one. If you can do it for 12 weeks, your brain will keep that one going while you add on the new one. In a few weeks, I'll be sharing with you the 12-week year. This is the specific system I've been using for many, many years. There's a book, of course, on it by Brian Moran. And I'm going to be sharing that with you. But for today, what I wanted you to realize is that, no, we don't all have the same 24 hours per day, but most of us can find 30 minutes. And that's what ultimately matters in order for us to be able to get our life back on track, go after what we truly want in life, and reach our highest potential. Thanks so much, everybody, for tuning into the Cabral Concept. I thank you. I appreciate you being a part of this community. And I'll be back tomorrow on a brand new Cabral Concept. Take care. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.